On this episode of Radcast, Alan forgets what he's saying, Sasha can't shut up about Bitcoin, and Steven fixes the levels.
I am indeed recording.
This time.
On this episode of the Radcast, Alan actually records it.
Let's give a round of applause.
Oh, Alan, you're the best.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
I think that's it for
appreciate it.
today. I think
Yeah,
we'll
we're
stop
done.
there.
Good. Excellent. So, here's what we didn't record just now. We have some beef to pick with the music industry. And I think it's time we brought some things out in the open. I think shit sucks right now.
I think the majority of people would agree with you.
It fucking sucks. Like, okay, it may be that we're a little bit older now, and maybe every generation goes through this phase where, like, oh, shit used to be so good, and all these kids.
I think that's definitely part of it.
You think that's it?
Well, I think
it's part of it. I definitely think it's part of it.
You think we're just romantic about how things used to be?
Dude, I don't know about you, but I don't understand the fucking music I hear today. I mean, not all of it. There's still really good music out there. But right. I mean, okay, for instance, these Little Pumps and these Migoses and all that. You know, I'm not hating. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? And that I think that comes with, you know, how old are these kids, like these Little Pumps and stuff? They're like 19, 20.
Right.
Well, look, I'm 25,
like, dude,
and I'm still fucking
one of
confused.
my best friends, two of my best friends have gone to USC at different points in our lives. Okay, so one of my best friends went to USC when we were like, you know, between the ages of 20 and 24. And my other friend just graduated from USC. And I'm 30 now. So I partied in my early 20s at USC. And then I partied in my late 20s, early 30s at USC. Right? Completely different thing. Like... And there's a reason why I partied so much harder when we were partying in our early 20s than in my 30s. Like, I was just like, there's no common ground. I have no common ground with these people. Like, you know, you talk to people at the party, whether it's some girl, whether it's like a group of people, whatever it is. Like, there's no common ground. Like, I don't understand the lingo now most of the time. I mean, not to sound like a senior citizen. I'm only 30, you know, but still, like, I'm noticing a gap, you know, like
some of it has to be a generational thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's all bad. I think it's just evolving. Some of it's bad, you know, like let's not sugarcoat anything. There's some really fucking shitty music out there.
Do you think it's because nowadays anyone can make some shit on their computer, put it out, and somehow somebody out there likes it, gains enough of a following?
Yeah, it's certainly more accessible. It's certainly more accessible.
So accessibility.
Like when I was 12 and I started messing around with Fruity Loops and producing, what was that? 2000 was 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. I was like 12, and I just got into producing with Fruity Loops, and at that time, like in my small tiny world, my 12-year-old, you know, the world that I knew, nobody knew a goddamn thing about music production, except I had one older cousin that was doing it for like foreign musicians, like Armenian artists and like Persian artists and stuff. So he was a music producer already, and but other than that, I didn't know, but he had all the expensive gear and all the things that you needed. You know what I mean? Like supposedly what everyone thinks you need. Now, when they don't know shit about
Steven just mentioned, you know, he's a little bit younger. Uh-huh. He is in that mid-20 range, right? What do you think?
I think it's a couple things. I think one of the perspectives that people have to understand about the three of us, just in this conversation, is that, like, I see there's a divide, right? There's a divide between people who listen to the radio effectively and people who don't. Is it too loud?
No.
Should I move this back?
No,
a little?
you're good.
Or maybe my headphones are a little.
Maybe your headphones.
Okay.
Is this better?
Oh, we're okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
so I feel like there's people who have, you know, limited access to what they hear. A lot of kids in high school are just listening to the radio. That's what they get into because that's what they're exposed to. You know, maybe they hear something, you know, on YouTube nowadays that they'll kind of change their mind and get them into something different. But part of it is just that that's all they get. That's literally the only music that they're exposed to.
But are kids listening to radio? Like, I don't know.
That it's necessarily the radio, but it's that
Now
quote
with,
unquote
like-
popular music. That's what's being marketed to, you know, kids in that generation.
I feel like now with like SoundCloud, Pandora, you know,
Yeah, but imagine with those
Spotify.
platforms how much harder it is for good content to break through, because it's littered with just
no, I definitely agree. I mean, it's littered with crap and like gems. Like,
Right.
it's just littered.
But the
You
thing
know
is,
what I mean?
before any of the SoundCloud and all those platforms came out, you had to go through some sort of label or some
Yeah,
sort of
and
company
think
to get
about
out.
how many amazing artists we missed out on because they didn't have an outlet. Imagine that.
So that's kind of the balance
also,
we're in.
also, I'm sure if in the you know, in the Led Zeppelin days and all, you know, or you know, whatever, pick an era, whatever era, you know, if before us, if they had the internet to the degree to which we have it, like with SoundCloud and like all the things that we mentioned, all the social media, the ways to promote yourself, like, I think they'd have a lot of shitty music too, but I think they'd also have a lot of really good music.
So back in the day, the labels. Were
Then
the
again, another factor that plays in, I guess you would have to also give them the same type of equipment because they were also kind of limited in what they were built.
But
Not necessarily they were limited. They weren't limited. I'm sorry, but the actual material, the equipment you would need was much more expensive than it is today. It's so much more accessible. Back then, it was like you have to go to a recording studio that has specialized gear that you cannot find anywhere else. You know, short of paying, you know, an arm and a leg to get. You know what I mean? And so that was another limiting factor for sure.
Right. So it used to be that basically it was the really high cost to entry into the entire business.
Yeah.
Second, there were labels that were essentially curating what you would hear on the radio, which brings me to the point of what's going to happen to all these labels with internet disrupting pretty much every single industry that we've seen already. Disrupt the music industry for sure.
Right.
What is going to happen to all the major record labels?
I don't necessarily think they're going away, but I think that we're in an era right now where anything that's like a label or a car dealership or any, you know, there's layers to how things are sold to people. Whether
Honestly,
it goes from
I feel like all they're gonna do, they're never gonna go away. The business model is gonna change. Maybe it might not be called a record label anymore. You know what I mean?
there's still
because
somebody that's
essentially-
going to be in the mix between the artist and the
check
consumer.
it out. Here's what a record label is, right? It's a bank. It's a bank. Or it's a person, whatever, who has a fuck ton of money, and he just wants to dump it into something, and he just happened to choose music, which is not the greatest investment. But I'm sorry, I lost track for a second. Yeah, he's essentially a bank. So, or this company is a bank. So, that need is always going to be there, because, you know, you can always promote yourself now. You know, like there's the internet and there's a million ways to do it yourself. But there's like, if you want to do it to the level that they're doing it, with that, like the level a record label can possibly take you with worldwide advertising and like all the right places, you know, they have like departments full of people. Well, I don't know about now that they're not making money anymore, but
I'm sure they still do.
They probably have, you know, a few people that are researching, like, you know, down to like the exact coordinates where to place your ads and, you know, where to buy up ad space.
I don't know if the major record labels are so in tune with what's actually happening in the
I feel
real
like
world.
that was what it was at one point, and then they found something that worked and they just turned it into a formula and just stopped analyzing maybe.
It feels like they're still sort of clinging on to how things used to be.
I agree. Yeah, I see that a lot.
It's either they're going to adapt or they're going to, just cease to exist.
How many more artists are you seeing go independent now?
I mean, that's the way to go.
How many more actually can do it?
That's
still be
that's
successful?
the way to go, unless the labels are willing to compromise. Like if the label was willing to take a smaller percentage from the artist and put in that kind of that same amount of legwork, I think that might benefit them, because they have to adapt to the times. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I think not to bash on any record labels, but essentially what they really are is just like a bookkeeping service for the artist.
I'm telling you, it's just a bank. It's just a bank.
So,
and they'll give you a loan based on how much they believe in your product.
Yeah, so
that's all it is.
So just think when the internet solves that problem.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's starting to. It's starting to solve that problem, because it's anything nowadays. That's what I was trying to say earlier, is that it's much easier nowadays for anything to be direct to consumer. When you have Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and, you were saying Patreon and Twitch and all these crazy services, that all you need to do is set yourself up with an account and have whatever equipment you have and just put that content out. You're as a musician, you're giving your content direct to consumer.
Yeah.
You don't need that record label in between of like, I don't necessarily need another entity to go and distribute my music, as much as I need to fucking hustle and get big on social media and get my music heard by more people. And then you can actually, even beyond that, all these services have analytics. All these services say, hey, what country, what people, what skin color, what fucking gender, who's listening to my music? Then you can double down on the people that like it.
Yeah, and that's something I feel like everyone should do, but that's also something I feel like not everyone knows how to do. Although, there's always Google.
But I think that's
that hard. But
I think what you're saying is a good thing too, because the fact that not everyone knows how to do it is kind of the replacement of the old barrier to entry for our market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that not everybody that can make a song knows how to get big on social.
Yeah, SEO is something people have to start learning now.
Yeah.
Either that, or you got to be willing to pay someone to do it for you.
Yeah, the label nowadays is more like almost like a shortcut, because they have all the marketing power. They have all the ins with every
they have all the
station.
contacts you need.
Or you're an independent and you hustle the fuck out of your business. Essentially just treat yourself like a business, and then you probably
huge
have
risk for failure. However, when you win, that formula is what gets you paid the most, and that's what gets you longevity in the industry, because you call all the shots.
Yeah.
I agree. That's why, and that I think that's exactly why a bunch of new artists are switching to the independent side, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is we're living through the most exciting times, not just like in terms of technology, but in the music business in general. I'm really curious to see where this goes, and most recently, just to kind of, this is the most amazing example of how an artist goes independent. I want to bring up example of Grammatic. By the way, one of my favorite artists.
He's dope, man.
Love.
I think we can all agree
all of
on
his
that.
work. Absolutely. He essentially he used the new blockchain technology to raise money for his album, and people were all over it. His fans, his true fans, literally bought into it. He did the so-called ICO, raised a bunch of money, and it's all him. And I am super fucking excited about that.
That's
Because
crazy.
that lays the groundwork for future artists to do the same thing.
That's the same blockchain that Bitcoin and all those cryptocurrencies use, right? That's the same type of
Oh, it's the same
idea.
technology, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, technology is the same. There's in this new platform. I forgot exactly what it's
can
called.
you? Because I mean, I've watched 1,000 YouTube videos on all this, and it's still mumbo jumbo to me. But
I think we need to have a separate episode.
No. But I was just gonna say, can you give us a brief like difference in how, or similarities, whatever it is, between how like cryptocurrency interacts with the blockchain and works with it versus how something like what Grammatic did works with the blockchain?
Well, what he did was just put out his own coin. Okay. From what I understand, right?
Yeah. So there's a platform specifically designed for projects like this, where you can essentially create your own coin that will live on the blockchain. I don't know exactly which blockchain they used for their coin, or they have their own blockchain set up, but the premise is still the same. It's a coin that you create for yourself, for your own brand as an artist, and you advertise it to your followers. They buy your coin, you raise as much money as you need, and then that coin exists essentially forever on the blockchain. People then afterwards they can sell it, they can trade, they can not necessarily. I mean, there's it kind of goes into this aftermarket where people can trade that coin, whether or not it's worth anything. But what Grammatic did specifically, in order to give it actual value, he tied the rights of his future albums to that coin. So essentially what you're buying, you're not just buying some fucking coin and that you have no idea whether it has any value or will have any value. He literally backed it up with the royalties from his future albums.
So meaning that when he gets album sales, a percentage of his album sales go into the pool of money.
Yeah, it's not 100% of his rights, obviously, right?
Yeah, no, of course not. Okay, no, he's not. He didn't just give away everything. Yeah. I think it was some sort of a split between all the coin holders and himself. But that fucking blows my mind that you can do that now. Like any artist can go sign up and literally do that shit. Obviously, it takes somebody like Grammatic, who already has an established following, to actually raise any decent amount of money. But it lays the groundwork for any future artist that wants to do
if you have 5 dedicated fans that actually believe in you, that would be willing to buy a coin, and if they actually believe in you and think you're gonna make it, they're buying royalties from your future albums. I mean, I don't see why most people can't do it. I won't say everyone, but most people.
Sure, if there's somebody that believes in you,
know what I mean,
and your music,
I'm sure everyone, no matter how shitty their music, can think of 5 people that want to support
Well, I mean,
them.
it's just what's interesting about it is that he just created a hedge for his coin to always have some sort of value.
Yeah. No, so that's
as an investor,
the genius part about
it. But imagine this: you're okay. So, on the flip side, he would, if he didn't do this coin, he'd have to either put up his money to release the music, and then maybe it does well, maybe it doesn't. This way, he gets the money up front, and then he trades any future considerations or future profits from that music with his fans. You're essentially just supporting your artist in advance. That's pretty much all it is.
Well, it's kind of like a crowdfunding plus. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have basically what he was doing is saying, "Hey, fund my project."
Right.
To some extent, guaranteed that the price of that coin is going to vary, but he's asking for money, and he's saying, "Hey, this is what's backing it."
Yeah, except like crowdfunding, basically you'd get something else in return, like you get a free track or something. But you get just like a thing, right?
So your return here is the value of his percentage of the value of sales.
Ongoing royalties from his future tracks
for the rest of your life.
Yeah, like to me, that first of all, just as an investment, that sounds great. Like, okay, cool, I love the music, I'd support it anyway. I'd still go to your concert, I'd still buy your shit. But knowing that I just invested in your business, in your tracks, in the rights for those tracks, that creates an entirely different perspective that you would have as a fan.
Do you know how much he was selling them for?
Well, I don't know exactly what the price was, but I think he raised something like 2.5 mil, something along those lines.
Ooh.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all. That's great.
Like, okay, Grammatic is great, and
You do
know,
not
he's-
need 2.5 mil to make an album.
No, you don't. No.
Come on,
But what he did
Grammatic,
wasn't...
what'd you do with the money?
But hold on. But who knows what that album is worth in terms of long-term royalties?
I'm kidding.
Right.
But that's
Yeah.
the difference.
But it wasn't, you know, the idea is not just to raise money, it was to create a coin.
Right, and it wasn't
There's a
like
lot of elements of it.
I don't know if there was a minimum threshold or it was just like an open sale. So he just raised as much as he could, and it just shows how much pull he has with his following.
I wouldn't be surprised if more artists were doing this in the future. Or, I mean, not even just artists, but...
Oh no, they're doing it. They're doing it. It's just that we don't hear about this shit because it's on such a small scale. It's happening literally all under the radar. The entire blockchain technology, first, it's a mystery to everyone. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Bitcoin, cool. But nobody knows what the fuck it actually is or what it does, let alone the
somehow-
underlying technology.
That somehow they can all describe it.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Everyone just talks about it like they know what it is.
Oh yeah, no, I love having those conversations with people.
Everybody has that
'Cause
friend that's
they-
the bona fide Bitcoin expert.
They want to sound smart.
Because they got Coinbase. So
Oh,
they
you
looked
see
at some
the
graphs.
blockchain here.
No, I love it. Listen, anything is good. Like anything that gives good new technologies any attention is fantastic. I'm all for people just blindly going in and, you know, trying to figure this shit out for themselves. That's how good things happen in the long run. So by all means, throw out all the dumb shit you think about it. Great. Just use it. Use it and make it more accessible. Make it more, you know, once it like actually penetrates the mass market, then it becomes a staple of shit that people actually use day to day. That's what I can't wait for is when, like, there's an argument out there online that the blockchain can actually get rid of the entire label idea, because what it allows you to do is have your rights exist solely on the blockchain, the rights to your music.
How crazy is that? So essentially, you get to choose who your record label is.
No, you are your own record
Well,
label.
you are, but I mean, as far as like who's giving you money, you know, kind of like you sell
It
your
becomes
rights.
completely this entire process of the label distribution scheme of them distributing your music, then collecting all the royalties, then keeping a portion for themselves, then the rest goes to the artist or the whatever. That entire process, in theory, can be completely eliminated by the blockchain.
All handled by the blockchain.
Completely.
Yeah.
Automatically.
All programmed.
Yes.
And I think the cool thing about that is that we're kind of starting to do that even without blockchain.
That needs to happen, man. There's too
I
many
agree,
stories about artists with millions and millions and millions of plays on Spotify that get a royalty check for like $83.
It's
Right,
happening.
right.
It's
Like,
happening.
But
you
yeah,
serious?
that's what happens when you put someone in the middle, is that anybody that's going to be, oh, I'm the guy distributing your stuff, I'm going to take whatever I can, and then I decide how much you get. That taking that guy out of the picture, and that, you know, frees up the artist to do whatever the hell they want. We have the internet starting to do that even without blockchain.
So essentially what I'm saying is using Grammatic's technique where you sell certain amount, like a certain percentage of your rights to people who are willing to give you X amount of dollars. And in return, they get royalties off of, you know, that. So essentially what that is you are your own label in the sense that, okay, normally when you sign to a label, unless you really have some pull or you have a good lawyer or someone who can really negotiate, you're going to lose a little bit of creative control over your projects.
Right.
If not all.
Sure.
If not all of it, which in more cases it's more of the extreme, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how fucked up is that?
Yeah, in
for an
this
artist?
case, say you wanted $250,000, right? And you decide to sell to 5 people for $50,000 a pop. You sell them, I don't know, 10% of your royalties. So 50% is gone, but the other 50% is all okay. Whatever you decide, 5%,
Right?
Whatever it is. You get the money that you would have gotten with the record label, but you don't have the person breathing down your neck. You don't have any loss of creative control. It's simply this person is like, I like your music. Here's some money. I would like to get some royalties from it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
That's exactly.
So
I think this
that could definitely eliminate record labels.
Well, this is okay.
Again, unless they adapt. What if the record label moves to that type of system?
But what does
I
the
think-
record label? Let me ask you this: what does the record label do about people who want to contribute directly to their artists? Like, that's what Patreon. Literally, what Patreon is for is creators online.
Well, okay.
Get paid directly by their consumers.
So what's fucked up is now record labels are dishing out a lot of 360 deals. What a 360 deal is basically like when you sign on that dotted line and you belong to, you know, Sony Records or whoever you sign to, now they can turn around and collect revenue on anything that you bring in because of your fame,
Like
because of
merchandising and all that stuff.
everything.
Wow.
Meaning, I don't know. I haven't actually thought about it until we just brought it up right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if that would entitle them to your Patreon earnings too, a certain percentage of it.
Probably.
That's what I imagine. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that would kind of defeat the purpose
Of a
even
360
having-
deal.
Of having.
You know what's
Patreon.
crazy? You know what's crazy? The craziest thing is now in these music contracts, the word universe is like a common thing. Like, like they'll say like, you know, we own the rights to this and blah,
Regardless
blah, blah.
of which planet
Yeah.
you decide to produce your music
and
on.
these records cannot be reproduced anywhere
In the universe?
In the
Oh
universe.
my goodness.
Like that's like
Okay.
you can't even leave the Milky Way.
What about-
and reproduce that shit? They'll come after you.
What about a
They
different
will-
dimension? Does it cover
No,
the
no.
multiverse?
Well, okay. See, multiverse is a different story. But dimension, is it a different dimension in the same universe? I don't know.
And
I don't know how dimensions work.
Yeah, I don't know, but
That's for another
There's no specification.
I'll bring in an astrophysicist
If they
for this
just
one.
if they just refer to the universe, that means they're talking about the one we're in right now. So if an artist is smart enough, they would just simply jump dimensions and start a whole new career in the other dimension. I mean,
Listen up, artists.
easy.
We got the
Boom.
solution for you.
Problem solved. I think I'm gonna open up a new law practice that focuses on the multiverse and having artists jump
Between
between
universes.
different dimensions. Yeah.
I bet there's a weird fucking way you can get around that somehow. If you write it the right way,
Yeah.
you can say I'm releasing this track. This is only the version of this track in this universe. But the real track is coming from my universe. So fuck you, record label.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm just excited to see where it goes. Just like any new technology, I think it's gonna slowly creep in on us. It's not gonna be like one day, oh, everyone switch to the blockchain and do your own shit. It never happens.
I don't
like
think
this.
everyone's cut out for that either.
No, of course not. No, some people will prefer to work with a record label. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely fantastic. If a label picks you up, great, run with it. But
If they're actually going to do something with you.
right, okay. But in any case, just knowing that something like that is out there, that has a chance. At least it has a chance to become something bigger and eventually just disrupt the entire field, the entire industry in that dramatic of a way. I'm super pumped about that.
You know what I could foresee though is having a record label come up and say, "Hey, we like you as an artist. Let us manage your blockchain. Like we'll create a coin for you. You could be just like Grammatic, but then they, shaft you anyways because it'll be their coin, not
Welcome
yours."
to Coin Management Services.
Yeah, but again, I'm sure there will be enough people that you can trick, for long enough to stay in business. But in the long run, I don't think the tricks and tricking people long term, I don't think that's a
doesn't
winning
work
game.
long term, but it does in the short term. And
that
happened with YouTube for a lot of the channels that I watch. A lot of like the gamer channels, or even like Machinima. Do you guys know what Machinima is?
I've seen a few videos from them.
So Machinima is like a group of channels that they kind of absorbed into their Machinima brand, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And there were a bunch, I don't know exactly the details of which ones did what to what creators, but the general idea was that it would be a group that would, absorb you as a creator and pay you. And then what they ended up doing is they said, hey, you guys have to make this much content and we take this %. And there's always fucking fine print in that. So that kind of, I think that started to fizzle out because a lot of YouTubers just went out and said, hey guys, like I ended my relationship with so-and-so company because they were doing XYZ. So yeah, it doesn't last in the long run, but it comes up in, different ways.
We need that kind of stuff. We need these things to happen to go through the trial and error to eventually arrive at something that really works for everyone. And you know what? Honestly, when you're making music, it's your fucking music. And you should decide what the fuck happens to it. I mean, period.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I understand it's, there's a lot of pressure when a big record label comes to you and like, yo, let's do it. Like, you're going to be our artist. Like, yeah, there's a draw to that. People are still like mesmerized by that.
Yeah, people think it's that golden ticket of, oh my God, my life is set because I got picked up.
There's too many horror stories, man.
Yeah.
There's too many horror stories about labels.
No, I think I'm just excited to see so many independent artists, and I'm excited to discover them, like on my own. Although nowadays it takes so much more time to sift through a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems.
I like that,
keep
though.
having.
That's one of the things that I loved when I just found out
Digging
what
through
SoundCloud
crates.
was. It's your digging through crates, it's my digging through SoundCloud, but it's just like, no, this sucks. Oh, this is cool. Then you find who's kind of related to that artist. To me, that's a way more fun process of finding music and finding unique music that kind of suits my interests versus just like having shit put on a playlist for me because Pandora told me so.
Hey, no, I agree with you. Except when I was digging through crates, it'll be like 1 out of 10 records was dope. Now, if I did the same thing, or let's say I'll go to SoundCloud or Spotify, it'll be like 1 out of 100. I have to listen to 100 fucking tracks to find one that I'm like, oh fuck, this is good. No, for real. I know. This is an everyday type of thing for me. Like sometimes I'm on discovery mode at the gym, and I kind of keep my eye on how long does it take for me to save a track into my playlist. It's like 1 out of 100. My taste generally just hasn't changed. It's more shit that has been put out that I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Why am I listening to that? And so, yeah, it just takes longer. I mean, yeah, I guess, you know what? I should be okay with it since I'm such a big proponent of fucking technology changing the world. If that's the result.
There's a trade-off to everything, man.
That's the
I'm
world
okay
we
with it.
live
I'm
in
just bitching and venting.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's what we're here for. We're here
guys.
to bitch and moan to the world.
For
Thanks,
the second guy that's listening to this podcast.
Hey, second guy. Shout out to the second guy who joined this podcast.
We got like 30 plays.
No, we got more than that.
Day.
We got, I think, between the multiple people that posted it, I think got over 100.
I would just like to apologize for the first 15 minutes of that podcast. I was slurring my words very badly.
I think everybody's quick to judge themselves.
I wasn't
thought
drunk.
sounded
No, because I fixed it right after that. Like, it was only for the first 15 minutes. I was just like, and you can't understand a fucking word I'm saying. I listened to that. I was cringing so hard, but yeah, I was just fucking smiling from ear to ear, dude, because we were finally doing it. I swear to God, I can't talk and smile at the same time.
Okay, Alan, we understand you.
No,
I mean, sometimes.
yeah.
Not all the time.
I'll try not to smile and speak.
Just try to actually hit the record button when we're.
We are
going
recording
live.
now, right?
Are we?
Let me double check. Yeah,
double
we're
check
good.
that.
We're good.
Great. Then you're doing a great job. Everything's great.
You pushed the button you needed to push.
I pushed the right button.
Guys, what do you think about Coachella this year?
I
know-
don't think anything.
I'm not interested in it at all. I think Coachella got bigger than it should have gotten. Not bigger than it should have gotten. I think it, whatever, fuck it. It just, tool to bring in
You know
people
what's
and money.
crazy? I had no idea what the fuck Coachella was back in I was in, I want to say 2006, 2007. I was going to recording school, and the students would always get offered to go to events and help set up and get used to that whole environment, and then as a bonus you get to stay at the events. I've never been one for live shows, really. I like them, I enjoy them, I go to them fairly decent, fairly
Often is the
often.
word you're
Yeah.
looking for.
Words are hard.
Words are really hard for me today. I don't know, man.
It's okay, Alan. You can do it. We're here. We're here for you. This is a safe zone.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. What was I saying?
And apologies to all of our listeners for Alan taking extra long to find the right words.
You were saying that you don't go to shows often.
Yeah, but no,
Well, our friend
I go fairly often, is what I was saying. But
You do go.
during this weekend, a friend of ours, Bert, would pop in the office and turn on the live Coachella stream.
Yeah.
Right? And this happened throughout the entire weekend. He would just come in here, hey, the Coachella is live streaming. I'm like, all right, put it on. And at any given moment when he'd turn it on, it was the worst thing I've ever heard. Again, okay, fine. Maybe a generational thing. Maybe I just don't get it. But it's supposed to be the musical event of the year, right? So
yeah,
naturally you'd expect some sort of quality, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Okay, not hating on the event itself. I'm they're dope and
just the artists.
just no. You know
I'm
what?
kidding, I'm
Okay.
Hold on, really quick. I don't mean to interrupt, but could we turn Sasha's mic up a little bit? I feel like he's way lower than the rest of us. I think he's 2.
Oh, great.
That's better.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, no
I
problem.
mean, we
Yeah,
can't.
no wonder I couldn't hear myself this entire time.
I think you
Thank
were
you.
80%
Great.
where you needed to be.
Can
I
you
could hear you.
We really only care about 80% of what you're really
Are we
saying.
good now?
We're good.
You guys hear me?
We're good.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily hating. Maybe I am a little bit, but it's only because when I hear good music, I have full awareness of the fact that I'm listening to good music. I have my own taste, but I'm not very picky on the genre. I dig music all across the spectrum. When it's good, it's good. It's undeniably good. Something that sounds good, it's you just know.
You feel something.
You just know. It makes you feel, it makes you, it excites you, right?
Yeah.
Or at least it catches your ear. All it has to do is just catch your ear for just a split second to be oh, what is this? Let me hear a little bit more. And I hear none of that. None of that. Why? It can't be just I'm so much older and these kids,
No.
shit they're listening to.
Like I said, I think that's just partially it. I don't think that's all of it. Like I said, there is some really shitty music.
Is everyone just going there to take fucking selfies?
Yeah, I feel I don't know. I haven't gone myself. but,
no one knows who the fuck is performing besides Beyonce and Eminem. And it seems like they just go there just to oh my god, I'm at Coachella.
I feel like there was the whole Tupac hologram, right? Which got Coachella wildly popular more than it already was. I feel like
I don't know. Was that the defining moment?
I don't know if that was
Coachella?
necessarily the defining
I mean, I
moment,
remember it. That was great.
But I think that's when Alan fell off his chair.
No. I'm still alive.
Damn it.
We were so close. I feel like that's when... I don't know necessarily that was the defining moment. I'm sure that somebody knows what the defining moment was, but...
Well, all I know is
it changed. It went from being somewhat not necessarily underground, but it was, it was the indie and the electronica and the, different music. It wasn't like
they all
popular
start
music.
somewhere, I suppose, right?
Right.
But I know when I was going to that music that recording school, and we had that opportunity, I had the chance to go to work at Coachella, and I had never heard of it, but apparently I think Pink Floyd performed that year. Or not Pink Floyd. I'm sorry.
I think Pink Floyd did.
Did they? I think. Yeah, because my friend was working the event because he totally separate. He wasn't going to recording school. He worked for a special effects company, and they had to build the Pink Floyd crystal with the light going through it, and turns into a rainbow on the other side, and so, yeah. So, anyways, even back then they had pretty big acts on there, and I had never heard of them.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's how we're going to settle this. On the next episode, we're going to have a very interesting recording artist, and we're going to pick his brain on what's going on, and maybe he'll help us settle this debate. By the way, tune in on the next one because we have someone very special, very interesting, awesome recording artist, performing artist. Can't wait to have him. Not gonna reveal his name. You have to tune in next time.
Really upset I can't be here for that one. It's all good.
That's okay. You can listen to it online later.
We'll push the buttons for you.
I will. Where can I listen to it, by the way?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Alan. Steven?
Am I the only one that knows? You follow us at Rad Panda on Instagram, Rad Panda Studio. Oh, I'm sorry, Rad Panda Studios on Instagram, Rad Panda Studios on Facebook. You can catch us on SoundCloud. We are on Anchor.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are on
Anchor.fm/Rad Panda Studios.
Yep. Soon probably to be on Apple iTunes and Google Play. So pretty much
Spotify, all that.
no matter where you're listening to this, we're going to be there.
Look up Rad Panda Studios and you'll find us.
Look up the Radcast.
Yeah, very nice little plug. I like that. So cool. All right. That was great, guys.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we covered that. I think that was a...
We solved all the problems of the music industry.
we're done.
You're welcome, music industry.
No, but that was really interesting learning about the use of cryptocurrency technology to essentially be your own label. That's crazy.
I promise we're going to do one episode dedicated entirely to blockchain.
And that probably wouldn't be enough.
I'm completely fascinated with that.
You think one episode is going to be more than all the YouTube videos I've watched? Come on, man.
I think that to limit Sasha's ability to talk about blockchain is to
let me have one.
Is to do the world an injustice.
Let me have one.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I want to know as much
We'll
as
just
possible.
we'll tape a mic to you and let you do work at the studio as you talk about blockchain.
Done. I'm in. Let's do it.
All right.
Awesome. Well, that was great. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. The now 2 guys that are listening to this, super pumped that you are. Please tune in next time. Tell your friends.
Next
love
time
it.
we can have 3 guys.
3 guys. Tune in next time for 3 guys on the Radcast. We're out.